Welcome to The Explainer. So today we're diving into this genuinely brilliant framework from Abdullah Al-Maimane. It's called The Spectrum of Colors for Teaching Thinking. You know that feeling when you're just completely stuck in a mental rut? Well, Al-Maimane argues that it's almost never because the problem itself is impossible to solve. It's actually because you're looking at it through just one single default cognitive lens. So in his work, he lays out 10 specific mental models, basically different lenses that are custom-built to snap you right out of your routine thinking.
Okay, let's dive into this. I want you to literally just pause for a second. Think of a problem you're dealing with right now. Have it? It could be a bottleneck at work, some friction in your family, or maybe a personal goal you just keep missing. Most of us, we attack a problem the exact same way every single time. We hit a brick wall, and then we stand there wondering why the wall won't move. But what if the problem isn't the wall at all? What if the problem is just the tool you're using to try and break it?
The whole core metaphor here is just beautifully simple. Think of your mind like a high-end professional camera with interchangeable lenses. When a problem looks entirely unsolvable, you don't need to force it. You just need to twist off your default lens and snap on a brand new one. Every single lens bends the light completely differently, and suddenly you're seeing solutions that were literally invisible to you just seconds ago.
Now, to keep things from getting overwhelming, we've organized these 10 skills into a few clear buckets. We're going to cover the lenses of efficiency and borrowing, thinking outside the box, changing the viewing angle, and finally, how do you choose your lens? Let's jump right in.
Section 1. Lenses of Efficiency and Borrowing.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how our first group of models is all about pure pragmatic efficiency. Why reinvent the wheel when you can just borrow what already works, right? Take the analogy and concepts lenses. Al-Maimane tells this awesome story about a dad who wanted to rent a motorcycle just to entertain his kids for the day. But the rental cost was a super steep 250 rials. So instead of just giving up, he rented a car for only 70 rials, took them out to an empty lot, and turned it into a fun driving lesson. He entertained them for a fraction of the cost. The big takeaway here? Extract the core concept, which in this case was find a cheaper, engaging alternative and just borrow it. You can literally use that exact same concept to fix a totally different problem tomorrow without starting from scratch.
Next up, we have the solutions-only lens. Honestly, this is a total game changer if you ever get stuck venting about why something went wrong. Let's say a guy completely misses his flight. Instead of letting him analyze the traffic or blame his alarm clock, his friend hits him with two incredibly simple questions. First, what do you do to solve this? The guy says, well, I booked the next flight. Second question, what is stopping you? He answers, it's a standby ticket. Okay, so what do you do? I put my name on the list. What is stopping you? Nothing. Boom. Done. The problem is solved because they completely bypassed the root causes and just focused on the next action.
To wrap up our efficiency bucket, we've got the precision lens. This one is literally just the discipline of cutting out the noise. If someone asks what you do for a living, you just say private driver. You don't launch into a 10-minute monologue about your commute, your daily routine, and your boss's crazy schedule. Precision saves a massive amount of time in meetings and definitely in arguments. Though, as Al-Maimane points out with a bit of humor, if someone is asking you really nosy, intrusive questions, well, intentionally losing your precision and just rambling for 10 minutes is a fantastic shield to protect your privacy.
Section 2. Thinking outside the box.
All right, let's completely shift gears here. We're moving away from that practical efficiency and stepping into the unconventional, the chaotic, and the highly creative. Let's kick this off with a comedian's lens. Picture a school principal totally stressing out because a class is way behind on their curriculum. Out of nowhere, a teacher jokingly says, hey, just cut the remaining pages out of the book so there is no problem. Everybody laughs, right? But the comedian's lens actually reveals a real solution hidden inside that joke. Wait, what if they actually do just skip the unimportant topics? By allowing a ridiculous, humorous solution into the room, you strip away all that tension and very often uncover a brilliant, simplified fix.
Now, this next one is absolutely one of my favorites, the enemy's solution. So imagine this incredibly demanding, difficult customer walks into a restaurant. The chef absolutely despises this guy, so he decides he's going to punish him. The customer orders French fries. To act as the enemy, the chef cuts the potatoes paper thin so the guy can't even pick them up with his fork. Then he over-fries them until they're basically rocks and dumps a massive gross amount of salt on them to make them completely inedible.
And this brilliantly illustrates the sheer power of the enemy's lens. Because when that spiteful chef served up those ruined potatoes, the difficult customer didn't complain. He absolutely loved them. Yep, by trying to make the absolute worst product imaginable, the chef accidentally invented potato chips. When you model hostile intent, literally asking yourself, how would my worst enemy make this problem worse? You completely bypass your normal biases. You highlight these massive blind spots, and honestly, sometimes you just stumble into pure innovation.
Section 3. Changing the viewing angle. So for this next part, we're literally changing our relationship with the problem itself. Let's rapidly compare 3 super effective perspectives side by side to see how they handle the exact same issues. If a student fails an exam, the positive lens steps in and reframes it. Okay, now I have more experience and less test anxiety for next time. It's all about seeking growth to kill despair. Now, what if a family is arguing over buying a big SUV versus a small car? The observer lens steps in like a neutral referee. Hey, keep the old small car for quick city trips. Buy the big one for family travel. It entirely removes the emotional attachment. And the investor lens? That one is strictly looking for a return on investment. It looks at a massive expense, like building a charity mosque, and says, let's build commercial shops right next to it to completely fund the maintenance. It literally turns a drain into a gain.
Let's move to section 4 and see how this builds. How do you choose your lens?
So you've got this whole spectrum of lenses now, right? From the strict efficiency of the precision lens all the way to the wild creativity of the enemy lens and the cool detachment of the observer. But how do you actually apply this to your life today? Well, here is the core takeaway of our explainer. The next time you feel stuck, just follow this precise checklist. First, clearly identify the problem. Second, consciously recognize and break your default thinking pattern. Actually, if you always use strict logic, stop yourself. Third, deliberately snap on a new mental lens from this toolkit. Force yourself to look at it like a comedian or an investor. And finally, look for the hidden solution that just became visible. You now have a totally modular toolkit to break out of any mental rut.
To wrap things up, I want to leave you with the 10th and final lens, thinking triggers. Al-Mayman tells this fascinating story about a dad trying to get his kids to stop littering around a garbage bin. One day, he randomly brings home a real fish in a bag. He asks the kids to look at the fish and somehow use it to solve the garbage problem. Because their brains are triggered by this totally unexpected object, they instantly start saying, oh, draw a fish on the bin to catch people's attention, or put a fish tank next to the bin so people actually slow down and throw their trash on the right spot. Introducing a completely random trigger forces your brain to make fresh, unexpected connections. So think back to that problem you held in your mind at the very start of this explainer. Got it? Now, look at the nearest random object in the room with you right now. Seriously, look at it. How does that object solve your problem? Get creative, change your lens, and I'll see you in the next explainer.